Hi, this is 365801 and this is my BL recommendations and TBR video for the Buzzword Readathon or the 2021 Reading Challenge, and this is for the month of February. If you would like to take part in the Buzzword Readathon for this month or for any month for 2021, head on over to Books and Lala's channel or blog and get all the details. Links are in the description or on the screen now. Kayla gave us all the details in a video back in December, and in that video she announced that the buzzword for February would be a themed word, and that means any word that comes under that theme would be a buzzword, and therefore you could have it in the title. February's buzzword is colour, so this could be the word colour itself, or it could be any colour, red, blue, yellow, etc. And this means it is very broad and could cover any number of titles. This makes it really easy to participate, but really difficult to narrow down a really good TBR. Now, Kayla gives you some recommendations in her video, and there is a link to a Goodreads recommendations page as well. I know there's also one on the Storygraph too. However, if you are like me and you enjoy reading BL, boys love yaoi, or male romance, then keep watching for some recommendations for your own TBR as I try to make my own. Colour is going to be hard though. So just like last month, the first thing I did was head on over to my spreadsheet and search for the word colour. Now I got 7 entries and the first one was Candy Colour Paradox. Now, Candy Colour Paradox is an Isaku Natsume title, so of course I like it a lot because I'm a big fan of Isaku Natsume. It is available through Sublime and there are 4 volumes available at the moment. The 5th volume I think will be coming out sometime in the spring, so I'm looking forward to that. I have actually read this. I read it all the way through in 2020, so it's a fairly recent read for me, so I won't be putting this on my TBR. However, if you like cute, sweet, rivals to lovers type stories, then I would recommend this as a really good title choice for you. Now, the second one that comes up on my spreadsheet is actually called Colour. It's by Eiki and Taishi Zhao. It's the very first work that they ever did together. This is a Doki Doki title. It's quite old, it's difficult to get hold of, and it's usually very expensive. So if you can get hold of it, or if you have a copy yourself, great, but if you don't, then it's going to be a bit of a hard one to try and get. And I'm gonna be honest, it's only so, and I read it just in December there. So I'm quite happy. I'm not gonna have this on my TBR. If you have it and you haven't read it, or if you know someone who's got it, give it a go, but I wouldn't go out of my way to get it because it's very expensive. Now, another one that I have recently read is Honey Coloured Pancakes. So of course it has the word coloured in it, and this is a Keiko Kinoshita work. This is by Jun or June manga, and this is also a little bit difficult to get hold of as well. I enjoyed it. It's very sweet. Keiko Kinoshita does good work, so I do recommend it. If you've got it and you haven't read it yet, put it on your TBR for a cute, sweet, very quick read. Scrolling on down my spreadsheet, I come to the next one with colour in it, and that is The Colour of Love by Kyo Ueda. This is a June manga title as well, and I have a copy, but unfortunately it's in my other collection. I did recently read a Kyo Ueda title in 2020, and I thought it was very nice. The artwork was nice, it was easy to read, so I would very much like to read this, and in a heartbeat I would have put this on my TBR, but unfortunately, as is the case just now, I cannot get hold of my other collection, global pandemic, no travel, that kind of thing. So if you have got The Colour of Love, if you've read it, please let me know in the comments below. What do you think? Is it good? Did you enjoy it? Let me know. I want to know. And it will go on my TBR for the next time. So as I haven't come across that many titles that I would like to put on my TBR with the word colour in it, now I'm going to start looking for specific colours. So to do that, I went up to the top of my spreadsheet and just started to read the titles until I came across one that actually had a colour in it. And then of course I wanted to see if there was any more that had that colour, so I would do a search then. The first one that I came across was the colour blue, so I put in blue to see what would come up, and there was actually quite a lot of titles. The first one is Age Called Blue. That is an STM title. Net Comics published it, and I have not read it yet, so this would be a really good excuse to sit down and read some STM. There was also Blue Morning, which is a big long series. Volumes 1 through 8, and I've not yet read that either, and it is a long series and I'm trying to read some long series, so I'm going to try and put Blue Morning down on my TBR for sure. Underneath that is also Blue Sheep Reverie, but I don't have volume 1 with me, so I'm going to leave that to the next time. Blue Sky is another title I have, Yuko Kawabara. I might put this on my TBR. I'll put it in the get to it if you finish Blue Morning. Blue Morning is going to be more of a priority, I think. But I would like to read this. I think I've read it, but I don't remember the story. So it's definitely on the if you get to it pile. Next in the blue pile is Brilliant Blue, volumes 1 and 2. It's a 2-volume series printed by Doki Doki. I have both of them, but I don't think I have them both with me in this collection. They're definitely in the other collection, so they will not be able to go on my TBR, but I haven't read them, so they would have been on the TBR if they had been in this collection. Kiss Blue is another 2-volume series. This is by Keiko Kinoshita, another June manga title, and unfortunately this is another series that is in my other collection, so I won't be able to put this on my TBR, although I think I would have read this if I had it here with me, unfortunate as it is. Now the next one is Playboy Blues, and this is a Shioko Kano Be Beautiful title. I did read this in 2020, it's been a while, but I picked it up and had a wee flick through, I think fairly early on in the year, so I won't be picking this up. It is the sort of prequel to Punch Up, and I know that Punch Up has a new volume out and I would like to read that as a series, so I might just put that into later on in the year at some point, so not just now. Now another blue title is That Blue Sky Feeling, which I read actually a couple of times during 2020. So I read it when I purchased volume 3 so I could complete the series. I think that was back in February or March, and then I reread it in December for the 25 days of manga. So That Blue Sky Feeling is a title I have just recently read, so I'm not going to be putting it on my TBR, but it is a very cute and special title, which I think a lot of people should give a go. It's very interesting, it's got lovely artwork, and it's got a cute story. So, lovely characters as well. That's Okura and Komahashi's, and that is by Viz Media if you are interested. Now that was everything that I came across that had blue in the title, so once again I went back up to my the top of my spreadsheet and I decided to search for white. It was just a random colour that came to mind, and the first title was White Brand. This is a Yokanita title by June Manga. I do own it, but of course again it's in my other collection, so I will not be able to put it on my TBR. Another one that is white is White Guardian. This is a duo brand title. Now I have mentioned before I'm not such a huge fan of duo brand, but this might be a good excuse to actually sit down and read some duo brand, just to kind of knock it out so I can say I've read it. This is a Drama Queen publication, so a little bit tricky to get hold of and usually a little bit more expensive. Now there were only 2 titles with white, so I thought I will try black because I saw one when I was looking at blue, and of course what came up was Black Knight. This is a 4-volume series by Kai Tsurugi, and this is a blue title, Tokyopop's old BL imprint. So unfortunately it's in my other collection and I won't be able to read it this time. Another one that has black in it is Black Sun. I read this in 2020 as well. This is Uki Ogasawara. This is an 801 media title and it's hot, it's smoking hot. And hopefully if you don't have any issues with dub-con, non-con, there's your trigger warnings just in case. Black Sun is a very interesting historical BL. It's set during the Crusades, so that kind of tells you what kind of things you might expect. If you haven't read it, give it a go. It's very interesting, but only if you're fine with those trigger warnings. Another one that has black in the title is Black Winged Love. This is Tomoko Yamashita's. This is Net Comics. I have read this I want to say fairly recently, but I think it was actually back in September, October in 2019, so not that recently. I really enjoyed it. It's a series of short stories and each one was really interesting and different, and it's Tomoko Yamashita, so I will of course highly recommend it. I absolutely love her work. It's really adult. So yeah, Black Winged Love. If you can, or if you've got it, give it a try. Now the next colour that I put in was red, but this did throw up quite a few titles that just had R-E-D in the name, so not all of them were actual colours, but the first one came up with His Rose-Coloured Life, and this is the second volume of Apple and Honey, the series by Hideyoshiko, a Jun manga title. Hideyoshiko's work is so good. I cannot believe we do not have more of Hideyoshiko's work in English, because it's just so wonderful. Artwork, storytelling and adult feelings. It's really good. And of course it did show that rose could be used as a colour, and in this case specifically. So yeah, this made me a little bit disconcerted because it means there's even more titles you could put on your TBR. Now the next one that comes up is a fairly recent acquisition, and that is Kabuki Volume 2 Red. This is a Yukari Hashida title, also Jun manga, 4 volumes, difficult to get a complete set of, so I'm just letting you know it's kind of tricky or very expensive. I don't have the full 4 volume set, otherwise I would like to read it, but I will have to save that for another time. Now the actual title Red itself, I mean, it's just basically giving it to you, isn't it? It's like, here you go. Sanai Rokuya's title by Jun manga is also one I have, but is not in this collection, unfortunately. And this would be an automatic no-brainer. It would have gone on my TBR. But yeah, once again, I have quite a lot of titles that I can't put on my TBR because they're not in this collection. I have read before, but I cannot for the life of me remember anything about it, which is another reason to read it again. The next one under that is Red Blinds the Foolish. This is another STM title. This is published by Ju this time, and it does mean that I might have more excuses to read more STM. Along with Age Go Blue, I should probably read Red Blinds the Foolish. And if I'm going to do that, then I should probably try and read all my STM titles, but I don't know if I want to do that. I want to sit down and read all 4 that have been published in English and do a video on them. So I don't know, I might read this. It's in my maybe pile. Now the next colour that I searched for was yellow, and instantly what came up was, once again, it's just like giving it to you here. Here's some colour BL titles. Yellow. This is actually a 4 volume series by Makoto Tateno. I think we all know how I feel about Makoto Tateno. Sometimes I love her, sometimes I'm not so enamoured. Yellow is, as I said, a 4 volume series. I've read it originally when I purchased it a few years ago, quite a few years ago. But I have the omnibus versions of Yellow, so this is 2 large omnibus versions that I can read. However, it is a series that has a second series, and these are very small, thin publications, and they're in my other collection. So I'm not going to, I think, read Yellow, the omnibus versions. I might leave them for something like a Tome Topple Readathon or something like that kind of gets them out of the way, because I'd also like to be able to read the second series as well. So yeah, maybe not this one. Now I remembered that Kayla had said that she had silver and gold, so I put in gold, and what came up was Golden Cane. This is a Yo Asagiri title. This is an old Be Beautiful, and I've never actually read it. It's been in my collection for a few years now, but I don't know anything about it. So I think this might go in my read if I possibly can get round to it, or even my definitely read this pile. So yeah, this is one that I'd like to read because I'd like to read a little bit more Yo Asagiri. There is also another title that is Golden Prince and Ardent King by Koko Agawa, and this is a June manga title. I have read this and I thought it was pants the first time I read it, and then I read it a second time and I couldn't remember reading it the first time and it was also pants. So yeah, it's not going on my to read pile at all. Nowhere near it. Now to contrast with the gold, I put in silver, and of course what came up was Silver Diamond, which I read volume 1. I've only got one volume, although I think there are 8 or 9 volumes published. It's not the complete series. There's like, I don't know, 20, 30 volumes in Japanese, so it's unfortunate, but I really enjoyed Silver Diamond volume 1. Go check out my video that I did for the 25 days of manga for it if you are interested to know more about Silver Diamond. Now at this point I had gone through quite a few different colours, and I thought I would just scroll down very slowly to try and see if there was any more that kind of jumped out at me, and I did come across a few different titles that I hadn't thought of originally. The first one that I came across was Crimson. Crimson Spell obviously is a huge one. Crimson is a big one in my collection. I have the old version of Crimson Spell by Kitty Media, and I've got the new versions, Crimson Spell by Sublime. This is Ayano Yamane obviously, so that's a big one I could read, but once again it's a big title and I want to at least have one series month. Although I also would like to read Crimson Spell, both versions, so that I can compare and contrast and make a video specifically for that. Another Crimson is Crimson Wind, which is also a duo brand title by Drama Queen, which is another big kick up the butt to just, you know, read some duo brand, get over yourself, give it a go, see what you think. I don't know what it is that's stopping me, but I just don't want to sit down and read it, even though I read the synopsis and think, that sounds alright. So yeah, Crimson Wind might be put on my TBR. Now, as I was scrolling, I did come across an obvious colour that I had completely forgotten to check for, which was green, and this is Green Light. This is a light novel. This is Yura Tamaki and Taishi Zhao. Taishi Zhao's artwork is very apparent and obvious, and this is a Doki Doki title, and I don't have any light novels in the pipeline for February, so I definitely want to put Green Light on my TBR if possible. I would like to read more prose, BL prose if there is, yaoi novels and things like that. So yeah, I definitely want to read Green Light in February. Now, after coming across the first title that had green in it, I came across the second one, which is also part of the Kabuki series. That was volume 4's one, and that is Green. So yeah, once again, it's one that I can't read because I don't have the full series with me. I've never read it. I've always been missing volume 2, so when I finally got it, I was really excited, but it does mean I'm going to have to wait until I can get the full complete set together to be able to sit down and read it all together in one piece. Now, as I was scrolling down, I did find or come across a few more that had rows in the title, but I'm just going to pretend that they don't exist and maybe use them for something else later on in the year. Specifically, it could be for elements, as it is, you know, something of the earth. And I also came across another one which was Poison Cherry Drive, so cherry being a colour or a fruit, so I could have used it for this one, but once again I think I'm just gonna scooch it to one side and maybe use it later on in the year. Now, one of the last ones I came across in my spreadsheet that had a colour was Scarlet, and this is a Hiro Madarame title, an old Tokipop Blue imprint. I have read this, I read it when I got it. I know it's quite a depressing one, but I feel like I need to do a reread. I did recently reread Cute Devil and I loved it, and I do love Hiro Madarame's artwork, so I'm thinking of putting this onto my TBR. I would like to get round to reading it if possible. I think it's going to be a bit depressing, but also, you know, one that's a good one to read that I won't take too long reading. Now, I went through my full print collection, so if I did not say a title that's a BL title that you know that might have a colour in it, please let me know down below in the comments, and I'll see if I can either get hold of it or that I have it in my collection I've just forgotten. I would like to have as many read during the month of February that have colour in them, and I'd also like to be able to find out if there is any that I'm missing from my collection too. So if I've not mentioned your favourite colour based title that is BL, let me know in the comments below. Now, because the buzzword for February is thematic, it does mean that there's an awful lot more on my physical TBR than there was last month. But that doesn't mean that I'm not interested to see what could have gone on my TBR from a digital perspective, although I 100% will not be purchasing anything new for this month. There is plenty for me to be reading. I don't need to buy anything else. Now, I headed on over to Sublime just to check to see what there was, and I went through all of the different titles, but most of the ones that I've mentioned already were there, and there's only one, and that was Egotistic Blue, and I think that is a Mio Tennoji title. Now, I like Mio Tennoji, and I have read a few of her works. I bought a few of her doujinshis when I was in Japan, but I will not be purchasing this title. I don't actually own this digital one, but I'm not going to go out of my way to get a copy. Now, I also headed over to Renta just to see what there was, and when I put in just the word colour, two of the titles popped up. One I've already mentioned, The Colour of Love, and the other was The Colour of the Clear Blue Sky, which is actually kind of hilarious because I purchased this on an Amazon Kindle sale last April, I think it was, and I haven't actually read it yet. So I do have, and I own, a digital title that I haven't read that has both the word colour and the word blue in it. So this is definitely going to go on my TBR, so I will have at least one digital title to read in February. Now, because I have become such a fan of Lesson and all of the fantastic, great free coins that they give me that I utilise all the time, I do want to head on over and just have a wee look through. So I just go to the BL GL section and scroll through to see if there was anything, and I wasn't surprised that there was actually something there. It is an interesting one. Now, I think it's called Tale of the Yellow Dragon. I have seen this, I've heard a lot of people talking about it. Apparently it's quite good, but I don't actually own any of the chapters. I'm not going to go out of my way to get it this time, but I will keep it in the back of my mind as one that I might want to have a wee read of next time. Now, one of the big things that I'm wanting to do this year is to utilise my Futekia subscription, so I will most definitely be reading some titles on Futekia if there are any that have a colour in the title. Now, once again, there is no function where you can just search, so you do need to just scroll through all of the titles, but I will speed it all up so you don't have to deal with that. Now the first one I've come across is Blue Sky Wars. This looks quite interesting. I will definitely give it a wee go. It looks like something I will probably enjoy. I'm glad that there's at least one title that has a colour in it, so I can read something from Futekia this month. It's actually quite good to be able to use this scrolling function. I can see a few titles that I might put on next time as well. Golden Sparkle is one I will definitely be reading. I really like Suzumaru Minta's work. I've really enjoyed reading some of hers, and I don't mind if it's a reread for this. I will reread that. It's so nice. It's a really good one. So yes, I will look forward to reading that one as well. I'm glad there's 2 here on my list, 2 so far. So yeah, just scrolling through is actually quite nice to be able to see what is available for other months as well. Mood Indigo, that was one I read last year for my 25 days of manga, and I loved that one. That was probably my favourite of the pornographer trilogy. So yeah, Mood Indigo is one I really recommend. More Than Red is another one. I haven't read that one yet, so that will go on my TBR as another digital title that I can read. So yeah, Futekia seems to be coming through in terms of digital titles with colours in them. This is quite good, so I'm glad that that is Perfect Pink. That one looks cute. I wonder what it's about. I haven't read this one either, so that should be good. I am glad that I haven't read that. Oh, Pink Heart Jam. So that's got pink in it. And this is supposed to be really good. Lots of people have been talking about it. They've been saying how good the artwork is and that it's quite a sexy story as well. So I don't know if that's complete yet or if it's just being released as and when. I think it's being released along with the Japanese. So that should be good. So Sneaky Red is another one. I've seen the artwork before, but I haven't read this. That looks like, for spicy chilies. That looks quite interesting, so that will go on my TBR as well. I'm glad that I've got one that has red in the title, as I can't read my actual red volume. This is The Beautiful Greenness, Matsumoto Mieko House. I think I've got a physical copy of the title that June Manga published by this author, this mangaka. So I have read some of their work before. Their art style is not my favourite, but I will give it a go for sure. So that'll go on my TBR as well. I wonder if there's anything else. Okay, one last one there. White Camellia. This looks really good. I love this kind of style, and it looks like it's historical and probably quite angsty. That's probably going to be quite good. This one, not so spicy though. Maybe it's plot heavy. I certainly don't mind that. I do like a bit more plot nowadays compared to a few years ago. I was not so much into the plot. So there we go. That's everything from Futekia. So I have to be totally honest and say I'm not entirely sure if I enjoy the thematic buzzwords compared to this, just the standard, this is your word, go with it. So I have done thematic ones before. I've done numbers, that was in November 2019. And it was really good fun and I enjoyed it, but there was loads to read. And then I did the one in September, and that was Nights, and that was great. That kind of just limited it. It made it much easier for my mind to focus. So I don't know, I just have a feeling that the thematic ones are going to be more stressful for me as compared to the ones where it's just like, hey, can you find one with this word? So here you can see that when it comes to colour or lots of different colours, there's a lot of physical titles I can read. I have a huge stack there of Blue Morning, which I definitely want to get to. That's like my number one priority. Then I've got a couple of STEM titles, a couple of dual brand titles, some June manga ones, Scarlet, that looks quite good, and a light novel. I'm really pleased that I've got both a light novel and a full big long series to read. That's kind of my goal for each month, that I would read a long series and I would read a light novel. So I've been able to get them, and I haven't read them either for a long time or ever. I purchased all of Blue Morning. I started reading it on scans, I'm going to be honest, hold my hand up and say yes I did. And then when it was published in English, or it was starting to be published in English, I stopped reading the scans, and then I started buying the physicals. Now, because I'd started reading it in scanlations, I told myself, as penance, you will not read any of the volumes until you've purchased all of them. Now, I actually purchased volume 8 in December last year, but I've gone the whole of 2020 and not actually read it, so I've given myself a whole year extra penance. And I think it's because it's so big now, it's just quite daunting. So yeah, this is a perfect opportunity to just sit down and enjoy the read and really take it slow and really focus on the story. So I'm looking forward to doing that. I'm looking forward to my light novel, and I'm looking forward to a few others as well. Anything from Crimson Spell, I think I might leave them. Everything on the other side, Candy Colour, Paradox Colour, they're all fairly recent reads, so I'm not going to. Yellow as well, I'm going to avoid, and maybe leave it to a Tome Topple. If I want, I might have another reread of Black Sun, just because it's always good fun. But I now also have a lot of Futekia titles to read. That's going to be really good. And also that one digital title that I purchased last April. So I have a lot to read for this this month. So I might not just do it in the first week. I might stretch it over the whole month. And Kayla did say that's perfectly fine. You can do that if you want. So the freedom of this readathon means that you can kind of tailor it to whatever you want or whatever you need. And because I have so many of these titles that I haven't read, or I haven't read for a long time and I want to read, this really does, I think, give me a lot of freedom. So even though I'm a little bit stressed about the idea of reading so much, if I give myself the whole month to do it, then I can relax a little bit more. So yeah, I'm very happy with the selection I've got. I'm very happy with what I can have on my TBR. So I'm just wondering, does anyone have any thoughts about the ones I'm actually going to be reading, or have you read any of the ones that I have shown you? If you would like any more information, just put a wee comment down below and I'll give you a little bit more about each of the titles that I mentioned I'd already read. Or of course, I've got some links to some videos on my channel where I've reviewed some of these titles already. Some of them are very recent rereads. I'm also really excited about the Futekia titles. If you've read one of the Futekia titles that I mentioned, let me know about it. And are you taking part in the Buzzword Readathon for February? Have you got any BL colour-based titles that you're going to be reading? Let me know as well. So, thanks for watching this. Remember to stick around to any of my other videos where I talk about BL, boys love, yaoi, male romance, and all that good stuff. Remember, every day is a BL day, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!